If this storm would have been in New Orleans, Houston, New York City, it would have been covered for weeks or months.
It seems like we've been forgotten by the national media and things like that.
We're not Houston, we're not New Orleans. The amount of suffering, widespread, nonetheless, it is still suffering. We're strong, but we're tired.
A lot going on with politics, with COVID-19. Don't forget about Lake Charles. Anyone that bets against us is going to lose that bet.
Hurricane Laura slammed into southwest Louisiana on August 27th. The storm caused an estimated $14 billion in damage, and just 6 weeks later, Hurricane Delta pummeled the vulnerable region again. Lake Charles, Louisiana is at the center of it all. As America moves on, the cleanup process continues here. Our team of WUFT journalists spent days in the damage zone, meeting those most impacted by these disasters. This is a collection of their stories, highlighting the loss, perseverance, and faith of citizens in the forgotten city. Thousands of people were left homeless after Hurricanes Laura and Delta. Many are still displaced to this day. WUFT's Jocelyn Donoso introduces us to a woman who lost everything and is now waiting for her house to be rebuilt.
What I wasn't prepared for was when I unlocked that door and pushed it open. And all I could think about was, my house was clean when I left because ceiling was down throughout the whole house. Every place had rain, it was soaked, it smelled. It was really, really disturbing to walk in and see the damage on the inside because the outside wasn't showing you very much.
Betty Jefferson opened her door to a new reality, losing everything she had. After Hurricane Laura hit Lake Charles on August 27th.
You always leave with the intention that you're coming back and everything's just going to be okay. It's going to be normal. It's going to be damages, but you're going to be okay.
She had to leave her belongings behind and evacuate to her daughter's house in Baton Rouge.
Once I decided, okay, we're going. I mean, we threw some stuff in my truck really fast and we were out of here by 1 o'clock and sitting in Baton Rouge by 3:30, you know, and then you just wait. You wait to see what happened and wait to see what you come back to.
Betty has lived in Lake Charles, Louisiana for more than 40 years, which means hurricanes are nothing new to her. In 2005, she also survived Rita, a Category 3 hurricane that slammed Lake Charles, causing a lot of damage. But Laura was a whole different story.
Now, I was here for Rita, and where it was bad, it was nothing compared to what Laura did. I mean, Laura just demolished everything that was in this path.
Betty is just one of thousands of people that are displaced due to the hurricanes. But the destruction was not over for Betty and so many other families in southwest Louisiana. Just 6 weeks later, when Hurricane Delta hit, Betty came home to another problem, flooding.
And my issue was when I opened that door, all I could think about was, look at the work that I have to do. How am I going to get to do this work?
As you can see, this is the remainders of Miss Betty's home. This is to be a place where she could cuddle and rest. But thanks to Samaritan Purse, she will be able to call this place home again.
But when Samaritan Purse came in, and they just came in here and just did the work that, God, I can't even begin to imagine. If I was doing the work, I'm telling you, you'd probably still see a whole bunch of stuff in here.
The charitable organization Samaritan's Purse helped Betty salvage what they could. Volunteers then removed the moldy carpet and ruined drywall.
When our assessors got on the ground, they immediately noticed the damage to the inside of the home that the water had done. A lot of roofs here have been damaged by the storm and the winds. So as rainwater came in, it impacted the ceiling, the insulation, and when those ceilings fall in, it just allows rain to get into the rest of the home, causing everything to be moldy and damaged. It needs to be gutted as quickly as possible so the mold doesn't spread.
And even though her house, memories, and favorite books were taken with the storm,
but this was my area where I kept all my books.
She still has her most prized possessions by her side.
I don't feel like I lost anything that I can't get back. I mean, my grandchildren are still here, my children are still here. If any pictures were destroyed, we can make new pictures. You know, I have the opportunity to do all these things all over again.
Jocelyn Donoso, WUFT News.
As you saw, people like Betty Jefferson tend to lean on their faith in times of uncertainty. But religion has always been central to the culture of Southwest Louisiana. There are more than 80,000 Catholics in and around Lake Charles. Following the hurricanes, every single Catholic church in the Diocese of Lake Charles reported damage. I spent time at one of those churches in the town of Ragley, where I learned a little faith can bring together a community.
Nailed it.
Michael Harbison and his family have been living in Longville, Louisiana since 2002. A retired marine biologist, his passion became his business, making and selling archery equipment.
I do not advertise, everything is word of mouth.
But his hometown archery business came to an abrupt halt. Category 4 Hurricane Laura slammed into the Southwest Louisiana community. The damage, catastrophic.
Kind of like a nuclear bomb went off.
While the damage at Michael's house wasn't devastating,
The tree was laying up on the top of the house right there, and you can see where it hit.
it was enough to make his house unlivable. Due to the damages from Hurricanes Delta and Laura, Michael and his family were forced to sleep here, just 20 feet away from where he works. With all hope seemingly lost, his faith in God and the community only grew stronger. Michael is a strong Catholic, like many others in Southwest Louisiana. The church, St. Pius X, is the soul of this small community. But much like his house, Hurricanes Laura and Delta chipped away at that too.
Total devastation. Total devastation.
A devastation unlike any other Father Andy Derwin had ever seen.
There's just nothing left. There's just nothing left. It's surreal to have ever walked these halls. Difficult to grapple with.
The church office, a total loss. The sanctuary, stripped barren. Exposed beams and fold-up chairs mask some of the pain left by the two storms.
You look at the church and all you see is rafters, and you think, how on earth are they going to recover from this?
But faith in Southwest Louisiana is enduring. At St. Pius, Mass was held outside until the end of October because the storm damage was so significant.
It's just the building. Your faith is not the building.
So the music continues. The parishioners gather. But the rebuild isn't over. Not even close.
I don't know that we will ever truly recover from the scars that it's left, that Laura and Delta have left. But that doesn't mean that we're any less beautiful. It doesn't mean that we're any weaker for having scars. Scars add character.
And those scars will certainly remain with your spirit for Michael and his family.
It'll take a long time.
But a little faith can go a very long way.
Your faith gets you through a lot, you know. You say a lot of prayers, and that brings you through a lot of what you deal with.
Church leadership says it will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to rebuild St. Pius X Church in Ragley. But there was also significant damage at the area's Catholic schools. School administrators have worked tirelessly to get students back in the classroom and on the field. WUFT's Victor Prieto shows us how high school sports can help restore a sense of normalcy during the most difficult times.
Football is back. Despite extensive damage from both Hurricanes Laura and Delta, the St. Louis Catholic High School Saints have returned to the field, ready to play.
Playing football, you know, is a sense of normalcy for us all because we get to interact with each other and not have to worry about any rules or stuff like that. So it's just good to be back playing with boys.
A welcome distraction, though football was one of the only sports capable of practicing on campus. Other sports like basketball and volleyball weren't as fortunate.
Here, most of the damage is along the upper windows and walls.
Basically, after Hurricane Laura, there were 2 usable spaces on our campus. Our 2 gyms, we have an older gym it's a historical landmark here on campus. It was damaged, the roof had significant roof damage, water leaked all over the place, and the floor is pretty badly warped.
Returning to sports, however, was never a question.
These kids need to go to school. They need to play ball. We need to sit in the stands and yell at the refs. It's just part of being a human nowadays.
For Brooks Habits, a sophomore tight end at St. Louis, the return to football has meant more to him than most.
Just being a kid, you know, just having fun and not worrying about anything else, just forgetting about what's at my house right now.
And even with football practice back in full swing amid the recovery effort, Brooks still reflects on how much he lost to Hurricane Laura.
When me and my dad got back to our house, it was just emotional because it was just gone.
Brooks arrived to his house the day after Hurricane Laura to find it destroyed. Pieces of roof scattered across the yard, their possessions blown around the neighborhood, and an unfixable hole for Brooks and his family.
It still to this day, you know, it's kind of hard just to wrap your head around it all. You know, that was my house, and I was basically raised in that, so it's just heartbreaking.
And as the oldest of three, Brooks has taken the burden in helping his father in the cleanup process, committing to long days and early mornings, all while still being 15 years old.
Kids were doing grown-up stuff. They were tarping roofs. They were ripping out sheetrock. Just to take that 2 hours and be a high school kid practicing football meant so much to them.
And though through tragedy, Brooks's family and the entire community of Lake Charles has only grown stronger.
Yeah, we've been hit by 2 hurricanes, but people here don't really wait around for somebody to hand them something. People here have banded together and helped their neighbors and helped their families and started the rebuild process on their own.
When me and my dad pulled up to our house the day after, my dad called my uncle that we were staying at, and he basically just said on the phone, "We need help." And probably an hour and a half after, they were there with probably like 3 trucks, trailers, everything, and they were just helping us move stuff out. That was probably the biggest family moment for me.
The power of football is strong in the wake of a devastation. The power of people, however, is unmatched. Victor Prieto, WUFT News.
The school plans to have both gyms reconstructed within the next year. Rebuilding schools is a large priority, but business and industry must be revived to fully recover. That includes crawfish, a Louisiana delicacy. It's a $300 million industry. WUFT's Marcelo Quadra spoke to a crawfish farmer in Lake Charles about the impact the 2 hurricanes could have on the upcoming crawfish season.
Lake Charles, Louisiana, best known for its music, culture, and most importantly, crawfish.
People love crawfish in Southwest Louisiana and really along the Gulf Coast. But that specific industry is very important to South Louisiana, not only for the jobs it provides directly, but also to restaurants and our culinary institutions.
But behind this multi-million-dollar industry are hundreds of farmers just like David Palomino working in the ponds around the clock 365 days a year.
When I was real young, my grandmother crawfished a little 2.5 acre pond, and as a young kid I took interest in it.
Today, he owns about 233 acres of land where he raises and harvests this iconic staple in Louisiana.
It's nonstop. So you're checking water, prepping, getting traps ready, boats, all your equipment, and then come harvest season, you know, you're running a few days a week, catching them early in the morning.
But little did he know, Mother Nature was about to uproot his daily routine.
Hurricane Delta is a major hurricane. It's expected to impact the northern Gulf Coast late Friday, and unfortunately it's taken aim once again for Louisiana. And this will make for the 4th hurricane to make landfall this season in Louisiana.
Laura was by far the most devastating hurricane I've ever seen, mainly due to wind damage. You know, we had some rice that got damaged, and but it wasn't that bad. But when Delta hit, a lot of fields were flooded.
Thanks to Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta, many of these crawfish farms just like this one received an astounding amount of water. As you guys can see behind me, many of these rice crops were submerged due to the flooding.
With an unhealthy crop, you're going to have rice laying down in the water or vegetation, but under those bare spots is just dead rice under the water, and it's decaying, it's starting to rot.
And if these rice crops don't survive the flooding, the crawfish will starve, costing Palomino up to $100,000. That causes a chain reaction for restaurants like Circle 7 who rely on this crawfish farmer.
Financially, it's going to be tough because you see we purchase crawfish from Devin, and he's gotta, you know, his prices are going to be off of what it takes to maintain his farm and what it's going to take to keep it going. So if the prices are too expensive, you know, we got to raise the prices here in the restaurant business just to make it worth it.
But with so much uncertainty back in the farm, Palomino is simply trying to begin the recovery process, treating this moment as a new planting season.
Got a crop duster, put 150 pounds of some fertilizer to kind of rejuvenate the rice, give it a little boost. And I think we'll be back to normal soon and rebuilt and ready for another crawfish season.
Farming one of Louisiana's most well-known crops once again. Marcelo Quadra, WUFT News.
In addition to the crawfish industry, mom and pop businesses across Southwest Louisiana are fighting to recover. WUFT's Anthony Montalto introduces us to a family fighting to keep its business and memories alive.
My mom was crying because just 2 months before the hurricane, we lost my dad. She was crying because her and my mom built all this business, and she felt like she's losing everything.
Wind, rain, destruction. Billy Daugherty has seen it all from his family's Harley-Davidson showroom.
My parents bounced around. They had a few other businesses and then ended up finding this, purchasing this, and then they pretty much built a legacy over here, and I'm trying to continue it.
The Daugherty family has lived through hurricanes in the store for years. Billy remembers Rita, a Category 3 hurricane in 2005.
It sounded like a cat squalling for like 14 hours.
But with Laura, something was different. It rapidly intensified the day before it hit. So Billy took to Facebook video like this to update family and friends.
Once you commit to stay and you go to sleep and wake up, it goes from a 2 to a 4 now, and then they're talking about 5. All you do is hunker down and do your best to stay.
And stay he did. Billy, his mother, and a mechanic sheltered in the showroom. It was a long night.
At 2:30 in the morning, the roof broke loose in the service and parts department. At 3 o'clock, I was on the roof trying to screw it on, and my mom and my mechanic told me to get off, so I did.
Minutes later, they heard a noise and knew.
At 3:30, we lost our roof. This is all the shelving that was in the parts department. A complete new roof, roll up.
Weeks later, the parts department is still dark. Technicians work under construction lamps.
During Laura, with the roof off, all this got soaked. The ceiling was falling in.
And that was before Hurricane Delta, which busted one of the shop's windows.
Stuff that was floating around was just hitting everything, hit my dump truck, put a hole in the front window.
The damage to Daugherty's dealership is like that of thousands of businesses in the region, almost all of which trying to recover. I'm here on the campus of McNeese State University in Lake Charles, where the Seed Center serves as the home of economic recovery across Southwest Louisiana. The center is also home to the Southwest Louisiana Economic Development Alliance. Its president and CEO, George Swift, says 15,000 businesses have applied for aid.
About 6,000 are actually going through with the process of applying to the SBA for loans and disaster recovery money.
Swift says the region was poised for its best growth ever in 2020, but amid 2 hurricanes and COVID-19, it's really hurting. Even so, he says the community will make it.
I don't think you'll find an area that will fight any better to come back and rebuild.
And Daugherty feels the same, though he is worried about another storm.
This is getting to show what Lake Charles base is made of, because it's Lake Charles strong.
As Lake Charles looks toward rebuilding, Billy looks toward continuing a legacy, one rev at a time. Anthony Montalto, WUFT News.
Once the roof was fixed, Daugherty was able to bring 6 of 10 employees back to work. He's hoping to bring the rest of his workforce back soon. As small businesses move forward, the tourism industry is already trying to lure visitors back to Lake Charles. WUFT's Madison Glazer spotlights one Louisiana music landmark and its quest to keep the Louisiana spirit and some tunes alive.
Just the two of us.
I can't tell you how much I miss being out at a public festival, listening to live music from locals here in Lake Charles. I miss that dearly.
Panorama Music House is a beloved Lake Charles landmark. Sounds from local artists to well-known stars filled this bar nightly for decades. Dolly Parton even recorded her first single here.
We have a wonderful music scene here in Southwest Louisiana.
But the music stopped on August 27th. Hurricane Laura's winds peeled the roof off, support beams were splintered, the second floor caved in. The once iconic Panorama Music Building, destroyed. Owner Frankie Randazzo was forced to move his staff and operation in with his other successful bar called Rick and Jack's. Even though they've been impacted by 2 hurricanes and COVID-19, Panorama Music House and Rick and Jack's have decided to keep alive what Louisiana is best known for: live music and hospitality.
Every day's an absolute challenge at this point, every single day.
Randazzo is worried about the cost to rebuild, supporting his staff, and keeping a roof over his head. Those worries extend to the local music scene. Venues are damaged, leaving musicians without any option.
We felt like in our area we kind of did everything that we could, as anything a band can do.
As gigs dry up, Hayden Helms and his band, the Good Samaritans, are moving to Nashville for more opportunities. But wherever he plays, he hopes music will remind people about the Louisiana spirit, something that sits extremely close to Hayden's heart.
What I wanted to do also as a musician is kind of like use my platform to get people to notice what was going on here.
And while Helms takes his songs to the Music City, Frankie Randazzo is determined to bring the music back, rebuilding the Panorama Music House for a community that needs these sounds more than ever.
The culture and the art and the family and the sense of support for this region, it's in a really bad spot right now, but if it's handled properly, this area will come back stronger than ever before.
Madison Glazier, WUFT News.
While Frankie hopes to open his doors in the next 12 months, one restaurant owner is opening his heart in the midst of devastation. WUFT's Carla Kokoris shows us how a business owner is bringing hope to those around him during his own time of need.
Richard Cole, a former politician, loves to be involved in his community.
Well, I was in politics for 20 some odd years, and I did cooking for nonprofits and all kinds of different groups over the years.
After retiring, there was a high demand for his Cajun cooking. So he decided to make a business out of it, opening Fat Boy's Kitchen.
It's something that I do, and I have fun doing it, and it gets my mind off everything when I'm cooking and making people happy.
But on August 27th, Hurricane Laura charged through Louisiana and destroyed Richard's business. 6 weeks later, Hurricane Delta added to the debris, taking the restaurant's roof and leaving 4 feet of water inside.
First thing that morning, and saw the restaurant, and pretty devastated, but
Richard was hurting, but in his greatest time of need, he focused his energy on helping others in Southwest Louisiana. Richard did what he knew best: cooking for his community.
We were supporting them, so I've always had it in my blood. My dad raised us to give back to your community. So that's what we do. We give back to our community.
Richard made more than 15,000 meals the first 3 days after Hurricane Laura, all of it free for Westlake residents and Louisiana state troopers.
It was a treat for us because you're talking about somebody that has a restaurant that's well known in this area for good food. It's named Fat Boys for a reason. The food's good, okay? And he was there cooking for us. We had breakfast, lunch, supper every day, and it was a morale boost for us. It really helped keep us going.
With mass devastation, the Louisiana state troopers needed some support to stay strong.
It was tough. We had a lot of our guys that their homes were completely destroyed, and they're going to have to gut out the homes and start all over again.
Starting over is something many people from Southwest Louisiana will have to do. But Richard hopes a home-cooked meal can make the transition a little smoother.
We consider our customers our family and our friends, and we miss them.
Strong bonds that won't be broken in a community's darkest moments. Carla Kokoris, WUFT News.
Fat Boy's Kitchen is in the process of getting a new roof and hopes to reopen the inside seating area soon. While there is still much work left to do, this entire community is determined to rebuild the forgotten city back into the same Lake Charles, Louisiana they all know and love. For our entire team of journalists here at WUFT, I'm Chris O'Brien. Thanks for watching.